Hey folks, I am Kevin Iole, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my next guest. Not only one of the best young boxers, a guy that looks like he could be one of the top welterweights in the world, but a really good musician as well. If you happen to be on Instagram the other day, you might have gotten treated to an impromptu concert. Of course, I'm talking about Vergil Ortiz. Vergil, how you doing, pal?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How about you?
I am awesome. I wanted to talk to you because you're undefeated boxer, talking about fighting the best fighters in the world. But I would be remiss if I didn't start by talking about your musical ability. I saw last night on Instagram you gave a little concert. People were throwing out names of songs, and you were playing them. Where did you come up with this musical talent? You're really good.
I think it all started back. Just playing Guitar Hero. I love Guitar Hero, and I like listening to rock and all that. And one of the boxers I used to look up to gave me a guitar, and I was just messing around. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I went to ultimateguitar.com and I was like messing around with the tabs and stuff, trying to learn little stuff that I could learn, and I just gradually started progressing. And I'm at where I'm at now.
Do you think that there's a similarity in that, in boxing, you have to be so dedicated and train and work hard at your craft, and in music, you have to practice a lot, and it's a lot of times maybe it could be boring where you're just sitting around, learning the chords and all that type of thing. Are there similarities that maybe your personality is suited to?
Oh yeah, it's definitely pretty much the same thing with the dedication and all that because there's workouts for guitar as well. You have to be able to get your physical strength. There's strength in your fingers. I didn't notice until recently. Like you have to be able to get them fast enough to actually play stuff. And I just started being able to play some faster stuff, and I'm just working my way up.
Now, you also play the piano. Which one do you like better, the guitar or the piano?
I like the guitar better, but I'm honestly better at the piano.
That's really funny. Why do you say that? I mean, I saw you play the Beatles song "Here Comes the Sun," and I thought that was tremendous. I mean, right away I picked it up, and I thought you did a really good job. You're pretty good on the guitar. Why do you think you're better on the piano?
I don't know. It's because I already had knowledge of music already and the guitar, but it was just easy. It actually really was easy. I picked it up really well, really fast, and I thought playing with two hands was going to be kind of hard because playing with one, as a beginner was already kind of hard. But I started off slow. Then I was playing "Further Lives" by Beethoven, and what, I played it. I got it down really fast, and I got down the whole Moonlight Sonata first movement down already, and it's just crazy. I think it sounds better as well. With the guitar, you can only most of the time you focus on one set of notes and all that stuff, but with the piano you can play the bass, you can play higher up, and
Right.
you can play a lot of stuff at the same time.
Um, do you think you'll be a musician someday after your boxing career is over? Do you think that'll be something you do just to, for fun and to,
Yeah, possibly. I really do enjoy playing music, and making music. I don't see why not. I made a little cover, Paranoid, maybe like a few weeks ago, and I think it turned out really good. I just need to get better at video editing because that part wasn't really
I hear you. Well, believe me, I hear you on that.
good.
But people want to really hear about your ability as a fighter, and I mean, you are obviously one of the really hot young prospects in the sport. But you're kind of at a turning point in your career, right? I mean, I look at it. You're 15-0 with 15 knockouts. But now you're facing Samuel Vargas on the 24th on DAZN. It's going to be the biggest fight of your career. And from here on in, you're not going to be so much the dominant guy. You're going to be fighting people that also are good, that also have a lot of wins, that also have a lot of knockouts. How does that change things at all, the fact that the competition level from here on in starts going up?
Honestly, it doesn't really change anything at all because I've always treated my fights as if they were if they were world title fights, because technically they kind of are in a way because I have to win all these fights to get up to that level. So I treat every single one of these fights like they're the toughest fight of my life, even if they only last like a round or two, and I
Mhm.
keep that same mentality even after the fight. So I just it's just a matter of how you carry yourself, how your mindset is, and it's always the same.
Guys with experience, they have tricks that, your power's been obviously overwhelming so far. Even somebody like Mauricio Herrera, who really good veteran professional fighter, and you got rid of him in 2 rounds. Do you feel like, now as you go into Vargas and the higher level guys, that it's going to take more setting up to, set your shots up, and it's not just going to be the pure power, but it's going to be, the boxing ability that gets you through?
Yeah, of course. I feel like that's how I stopped the last 3 guys, to be honest, because with Mauricio Herrera, I didn't go out just trying to knock his head off straight away. I knew that he wasn't gonna. I've seen him fight before. He's kind of hard to hit, and I've heard that from other fighters as well. Brad Solomon did not stay there in front of me, and
Right.
I feel like I really had to pick my shots, and I had to make him fight when I wanted him to fight. Just I had to settle him down as well. And Antonio Orozco, I thought it was gonna go one way and it didn't go, and I really had to change my game plan with him. And I feel like I've been adapting, using my head this whole time. I don't feel like I've been running through my opponents necessarily. I think I've just been making the right decisions, and it's been looking that way.
How much pressure do you feel to keep the streak going? I mean, everybody talks to you about it. It's like, whenever they talk about Vergil Ortiz, it's not just Vergil Ortiz, the welterweight contender. It's Vergil Ortiz, the 15-0, 15 knockout welterweight contender. Does that bring a certain amount of pressure that people expect to see you not just win, but to win by KO?
No, it doesn't bring any pressure at all, because my main goal is to win, and I want to look good doing it, and I want to get some experience along the way. So if someday I ever go the full distance, that's just good for me. That's experience that I'm getting.
Now, as we look, I know you said recently you're ready to fight or willing to fight Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence and all these guys. I mean, do you feel like, hey, if you KO'd Vargas on Saturday, or you defeat Vargas on Saturday, let's just say that you would be ready? I know it's probably unlikely you would go into a fight like that, but do you think you would be ready, physically to take on that kind of challenge at this stage?
It's not that if I think I'm gonna be ready or not. I know I'm ready. I feel like I can give any 147 fighter the toughest fight of their life. I just feel like I'm made for that. I feel like I'm one of the toughest guys in the division, if not the toughest. I feel like I'm one of the strongest. And I mean, I'm the youngest. I got the energy behind me. I got the youth, and I have a lot of experience. People don't think I do. I've been
Right.
in the ring with so many world champions sparring. I do a lot of sparring. I love sparring, and that's basically fighting, just not fighting.
Right.
I have a lot of experience. People just don't really notice or know.
What, were you able to train a lot during the summer as the pandemic was going on, and what impact did the coronavirus have on your ability to do what you wanted to do and needed to do as a fighter?
I've literally been training since January, since we were planning to fight in March. And I mean, even after the fight got postponed, I stayed ready just in case they gave me a call, because I wasn't sure how long that it was gonna last. And I mean, it didn't really change much in Texas. I don't really get sparring in Texas anyways. I only spar in California. So when I was training in Texas, I was just hitting the bags, or I was doing mids at my house or stuff like that, running as usual and all that stuff. When we came back to California, training was as normal as always, sparring, hitting the bags and all that stuff.
Max Holloway, who's a UFC fighter, he said prior to his last fight that was just a couple weeks ago that he fought and had no sparring at all, and he trained everything by Zoom. Had his coaches on Zoom and did his training that way. And he fought a tremendous fight, and most people think he won, even though the judges thought he lost. I wonder from you, like, if you're in a situation where you're just hitting the bag and you're not actually in front of a live person, do you think you could go into a fight that way and be effective, given you didn't have the live sparring?
You know what? I had my last amateur tournament. I had that exact deal. I sparred maybe like twice in those 3 months leading up to the National Golden Gloves in the year 2016. I literally had to use the first few fights in that tournament as sparring. I had no wind, and I just wasn't used to it. I was getting tired. I was kind of tense because it had been a while since I was in front of someone actually punching
Right.
them. So I had to use those first few fights as sparring. So yes, it's actually it does have a big impact. It's just not the same. A bag isn't the same as a person. So
Right.
sparring is definitely needed.
All right. What kind of fight do you anticipate Vargas giving you? I mean, he's a guy with, a lot of experience, been around a while. Obviously, he's not at the Crawford Spence type level, but obviously a very good opponent. What kind of fight do you expect out of him?
I expect a very tough fight and very competitive. I feel like I'm not gonna have to go and chase him. He's gonna want to come and bring the fight to me. And I mean, yeah, that's basically it. I know he's a tricky fighter. I've seen him set shots up and all that stuff. He's smart. But yeah, I mean, overall, we're just expecting a tough fight.
Do you feel like Ryan Garcia said something a couple of weeks ago that I really liked, and I wish more boxers would say this. He said, I don't care if I lose a fight. I want to fight the best guys and find out. And so, don't protect me. Let me fight the best guys. And I wonder if you share that attitude, or you think that's the right attitude.
It is the right attitude because there's a lot of fighters out there just worried about their undefeated streak. That's not what boxing's supposed to be about. You're supposed to want to fight the best, and a lot of people. I think that Mayweather really kind of set the tone for everyone like that because now everyone wants to be undefeated when they retire. But it's really not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to fight the best. Just look at all the all-time greats. So literally every single one of them have lost before.
Right.
Because they took those fights, and there's a reason why they were in the all-time greats. So, I mean, yeah, that's the right mentality to have.
So as you look at it, like, do you feel like it's doable for you to get those fights? We always, and it's the conversation that we as journalists hate to have all the time, which side of the street are you on, right? And you got Crawford with ESPN, you got Spence with the PBC, you're with Golden Boy. Isn't it reasonable to expect that you can get those fights? And what will you do to ensure that all those top guys that are out there that are with other promoters, that Golden Boy can get them in the ring for you?
I think with time that these fights will be made. There's gonna be a point where there's nothing happening, and these fights are there's gonna be no choice but to make these fights. I feel like that I'm gonna be uh top in the division pretty soon, with or without a belt. It doesn't even matter. So they're gonna have no choice but to fight me, or they're gonna want to fight me. You never know. Maybe they'll have a change of heart, whatever. But yeah, that's just how I see it. There's really no telling. Time's gonna tell what's gonna happen. But in my opinion, these fights will happen one way or another.
As you look at the division, I mean, how do you break it down? Who do you think, let's say 1, 2, 3 in the division right now as we talk today, who do you see as the three best guys?
It's Spence, Crawford, and let's see who's the champion. So Spence, Crawford, and this is a hard one. Probably Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia. And do you think in that order?
No, not a single order because in my opinion, Spence and Crawford they're kind of tied for number one in my opinion.
Right.
They're both really good fighters. I really don't know who would win in a fight between them.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're right there. And Danny Garcia is a guy that I'm glad you said that, because I've always thought Danny Garcia is a really good welterweight. He's not a guy that gets a lot of attention. Sometimes people overlook him for whatever reason. But yeah, I agree with you on him as well.
Yeah, no, he's a really good fighter. There's a reason why he was a champ before.
Do you feel like, the fact that you're being talked about just with those kind of guys is affirmation of the progress that you've made in your career? Like, the fact that I'm even asking you about fighting those guys is sort of affirmation that, hey, you've done a lot in your career already, even though you're young.
Oh yeah, definitely. As a prospect growing up, the questions were usually, well, what are your plans in the future, and all that stuff. Never about you want to fight this world champion next or all that. But it's I've really seen a change and how people, not how they approach me, but like what kind of questions they ask and what they expect of me and how they talk about me on social media and all that stuff. And it feels great. I really do feel like people believe in me.
You're one of the nicest guys in boxing. I mean, anybody who knows you, I know they rave about you, what you're like personally. you know, your promoter Oscar was, you know, the biggest star at the time that he was in the sport. Has he been able to give you any assistance in terms of how to handle the fame that's to come? You know, maybe you're not on this quite the same fast track he was on because he was an Olympic gold medalist, but you're obviously on a pretty fast track. And, you know, you get all those people that are coming at you once you become a star and once you're well known. How do you deal with that? And how do you make sure that that doesn't distract you from what your ultimate goal is, being the best in the world?
To be honest, I don't really have a problem with any of that, and I think they see that because I just honestly I don't care. I don't let it get to my head. I kind of ignore it in a way, you know. I see myself as like just a normal person, you know. I still see myself as the guy that was born and raised in Grand Prairie, and you know, it was a small big town. And that's just how I see myself. I don't really think much of myself that way. Uh, but yeah, other than that, I just like to I try to live my life as normally as possible.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, Finally, I'll end with this. Tell me how you see the fight going. Like, what's the result going to be? Do you feel like you can finish this guy? And what are going to be the keys for you to be able to win this fight?
Well, of course, I think I'm gonna win. The key is definitely just to see through all his tricks and all that stuff, and he's gonna want to take me to deep waters, is what he said. I mean, that's fine, you know, but I feel like I perform better in those conditions, you know. So you know, that's just we're gonna wait and see. He's gonna wait and see, and I mean, I hope I get taken to the deep water. That's experience that I need, and that's a whole different side of me that people have yet to see. That I hope that they'll be able to see.
You know, you might be getting taken into deep waters, but we don't talk enough about, isn't he getting taken into deep waters fighting you?
That's what I'm saying. You know, he's gonna be there with me, and dude, let's see who's the better swimmer. You know.
Now, hey, before you know, obviously you finished all your fights with by knockout, but you know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you've won every single round that was scored, have you not? Like, you've never lost a round, is that correct?
Possibly. I think when I fought Antonio Roscoe, I think I gave him like a round or two, but officially, I'm not sure.
I'll have to get the scorecard of that fight then, because I was trying to figure it out. I didn't have all your cards, but most of them I know you won all the rounds. So we'll have to get that's a heck of a record. So
Yeah.
well, on July 24th on DAZN, you could see this young man, one of the best prospects in all of boxing, Vergil Ortiz, going up against his toughest fight to date, Samuel Vargas. Tune in for that. Vergil, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck and keep those concerts going.
I will, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.